Hey everybody, and welcome back to BK's Bullets. Today we're going to be talking about some good Justice League stories. Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I am your host, Brent Casina, and today, while we're prepping for the Snyder Cut release on Thursday, and Falcon and Winter Soldier coming on Friday, I figured since we had Cap yesterday, we'll talk some Justice League today, and talk about some good Justice League stories that I like, that I have on my bookshelf, that I've pulled specifically for you to recommend to read if you haven't read them already. But before we get into this list, I would ask you to do one thing. Please, subscribe. Helps me out, helps you out, lets you know when I post new videos, helps the channel grow, all that things. So please put a like on the video, leave a comment down below, and let's get into the list. So these are in no particular order. These are just, stuff I looked at my bookshelf and I was like, these are good Justice League stories because I have them all alphabetical by alphabetical is by the letter, right? J, they're all together. And I pulled out one event that I think is really a Justice League story as well. So let's get into them. So we're going to go and how they're basically stacked on my bookshelf. So the first one we're going to talk about is this book right here, Infinite Crisis. Now this was an event in 2004, 2005 from DC Comics. I mean, all these are DC Comics because you're talking Justice League, right? It's written by Jeff Johns, art by Phil Jimenez, mostly, with some fill-ins by Ivan Rice, George Perez, Jerry Ordway in here, helping out, doing, a couple pages here and there. But it's mostly Phil Jimenez. So the trade has everything completed. If you were picking this up at the time, you remember getting issue 6 and seeing this giant spread of red and going, what the hell? Why is this not colored? Well, they rushed off to the printers before the colors could be completed. And yes, that is as weird saying it as it was to be read. But when the trade came out, everything was finished. They had cleaned up some art, all the things like that. So what makes this a good Justice League story? Well, there is a lot of lead up to this. There's 4 or 5 trades of lead up. Ranthanagar War, OMAC Project, I'm looking over here, Villains United, and Day of Vengeance. There's also a companion. There's also a prelude trade that's out there that you can go find and pick up as well. But mainly this is about the Justice League being destroyed after the events of Identity Crisis, and how they have to team up back together to stop this multiversal threat. Yes, I said multiversal. You also have the old Superman from Earth 2 coming back in to remind our Superman what he's lost in terms of his spirit, things like that. So it deals with all these kind of meta themes of comics being dark, grim, and gritty versus light, airy, and sunshiny back in the day, and how we're moving things in a more modern spin and trying to combine all of those elements instead of just focus on one or the other. Really like this. This is like peak Jeff Johns, basically, before he kind of went, down the chute with this whole Snyder Cut debacle. And also, I think his writing too has suffered a little bit since he got punted from DC. But a good writer is a good writer, and a good book is a good book. Infinite Crisis, one of those good Justice League stories. I think you can read it without reading the lead-ups. It's basically like all the background events that are happening in here are all things that happened in those prelude issues or prelude trades that I just listed off. But I think you can pick this up by itself and just skip that stuff, or read a Wikipedia article, things like that. So, Infinite Crisis. Next, now we're talking the real JLA stories, Justice League stories that start with a J. Jla Avengers. This is a fun one. I don't know that many of you will have this trade. This is an old trade. These are not printed anymore. I don't think they'll ever be printed, which means they go for a lot of money on eBay. I've looked. I picked mine up, I think, a few years after it came out, and this is fun. So this came out as Jla Avengers 1 through 4, back in that same time period, 03, 04, 05, when I was beginning college. I think it was 04, 05. And it's all George Perez art, and he's a legendary artist because he did Crisis on Infinite Earths, he did Justice League, he did Teen Titans, he also did the Avengers at Marvel. So who better to draw both these teams than the guy who can literally draw every character on both these teams on a single page. The cover to issue number 3, I can't I'm looking if it's in the back here or not, is just insane. It's literally like every single character on here. So this has some weird stuff. I haven't read this in a long time because it's got all the cosmic forces from both universes are combining together, and then each team is kind of searching out, I think, the other team's cosmic items, like a weird Spear of Destiny or the Cosmic Cube and things like that. It's also got great moments like Superman picking up Mjolnir, holding Cap's shield, fun things like that. Fun things like that. Will you ever see this printed again? I don't know. They're not even available digitally on Comixology. So if you're looking for this, you have to go look for it in a physical form, and good luck with you on your search. I don't think you're going to find it for cover price unless there's some store in the backwoods somewhere that still has it that doesn't care about, you know, selling it on eBay for 4 times its price. It went for $20 back in the day. But really fun story, really beautiful art. This one I can recommend all day. JLA Earth 2. Grant Morrison, Frank Quitely. Beautiful, beautiful book. Great book. A whole lot of fun to read. So this takes place, I don't know where it takes place in Morrison's JLA run or exactly when it came out, but I just remember picking it up at Barnes & Noble as this trade right here, and it's got Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, Aquaman, and then you've got the Crime Syndicate from the, this was before we had the multiverse back. Basically, this is post-crisis continuity, where there was no multiverse, so this idea of instead of it's not an alternate Earth, it's like a mirror world, basically, and that's why you have this motif of the characters and their mirror selves. So you could even turn the thing over and you get this cover opposite way. So you get Superwoman, Ultraman, and Owlman. So this is a really fun book. I really love the way that Morrison writes all these characters, and I think this is one of my favorite Morrison JLA books, which I don't have that many, but this is the one I really enjoy because it's mainly straightforward and it's dealing the wacky concept that is introduced in here is this mirror world and these mirror characters. Lex Luthor's a good guy, all this sort of stuff. And Frank Quitely's art, this is like, I think maybe he had done The Authority or maybe not yet. So he's not really like all-star Superman quality Frank Quitely. He's still got the same style. You know, he's going to do X-Men with Morrison, I think, right after this. So it's a little rough around the edges compared to what he's doing now or what he's done the last 10 years. But it's still him, and it's still, if you like him, it's still good art. Still very deliberate, things like that. But he does have an inker on this. It's not just, or he's inking himself. It's not the straight from pencils look that he's done in the last couple of years. So I think that helps a lot. But yeah, the way he stages stuff is just fun. This desk for Lex, just like a hollowed out tree, is just like a big FU to environmentalists. So much fun. Anyway, let's go on. So the other Morrison, the first Morrison story I've ever read, is actually not in here. Here we go. JLA World War Iii. This is, I don't know what volume it is, but this is like the last Morrison JLA story that's in the continuity per se. And this is the first one that I read, so there were probably things that went over my head because I think I've read his whole run once through, but I have not reread it in a long time. But I do remember rereading this particular trade many times over winter breaks and summers and just in between classes, whatever. And it's got Howard Porter art. The first time I saw his art, beautiful. That's not Howard Porter. Howard Porter stuff. This is the General. This is some crazy dude with some big teeth. Mr. Miracle's in here. You got Blue Beetle. Just whole, like, there's a point at the end of this story basically where the entire Earth gets superpowers and they call on everyone on Earth to come save the world. There's also some really crazy stuff here with Zuriel, who is a character I did not know at the time, and he's an angel, and there's other angels in here. You got Flash coming and bringing, I can't remember what this thing is, if it's like a speed god or like an old god. Again, I haven't reread this in a while, but this is like crazy whacked out fun. Like the enemy here is literally bigger than the Earth. This is Mageddon. So you got Armageddon, this is Mageddon. You know, and they title it World War III on this trade. But this is a pretty good one. This is also in those JLA thick trades where it's like, I think this is in like volume 4 of those. So you can check that out. Lots of fun, beautiful art. Morrison, Howard Porter, almost can't go wrong with that team. Then, the brilliance of this was followed up by the brilliance of this. This is Jla Tower of Babel. Still Howard Porter on art, but you got Mark Waid doing the writing. This is a legendary story. If you've seen some of the animated movies, a movie called Justice League Doom is based off of this story. Basically, it's the Justice League getting taken down one by one by things that they're weak to, that no one knows how these weaknesses were found out, that type of thing. Some of them are fun, some of them are inventive. How do you take down Green Lantern without stealing his power ring? Well, that's in here. How do you take down Batman? How do you take down Superman? All these different things. So it's a whole lot of fun, and it has consequences because he's responsible. And it has consequences, and that plays through the next part of the JLA book and things like that. So this is the last time I think Howard Porter was on JLA. He doesn't do the last issue in here. I think the last couple issues are like a fill-in of this particular trade. But the Tower of Babel storyline, I think it came out also like a recent hardcover, a recollection or something. Like this is an old book that I have, but you can certainly find a newer printing of this. Also in the same thicker JLA trades, probably volume 5 is where this lives. If not, I think there's like a deluxe edition coming out soon, something like that. So Jla Tower of Babel, or Babel, whichever one you want to call it. Really fun book. Really, really like this one. This one I don't particularly love, but I thought it was just fun because it's one of these things that you haven't seen recollected in a while. This is JLA JSA Virtue and Vice, written by David S. Goyer and Jeff Johns, art by Carlos Pacheco. I've read this a couple times. I didn't really understand what was going on because I have not read JSA all the way through still. And especially at the time when I read it, I didn't know who the hell the JSA were. Like, I knew there were the other DC Super Team and that they were older heroes, but I think this published at the beginning of Johns and Goyer's run on JSA. Let's look. 2002 this was published, yeah. So this is early on. I don't even know if this is in continuity technically, or that continuity. Beautiful art though. Carlos Pacheco, can't go wrong with him. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Just gorgeous. Yeah, another trade I think you're going to have a hard time finding. I don't even know if it's on Comixology digitally, but I think like the Jla Avengers one, this is one that I haven't seen like reprinted or re-released or anything like that in a long time, which is strange. I don't know if it's in those thick JSA trades by Jeff Johns that they've released, or the Omnibus maybe. I don't know. So let me know if you know where you can find this, because I certainly don't. But there are old copies available if you can find at a convention or on a retailer's website, something like that. Conventions, what are those anymore? Do we have those? This one, JLA The Nail. This is an Elseworld story, as notated over here. Alan Davis, Mark Farmer. Wonderful, wonderful book. I can't recommend this enough. I picked this up on a whim a long time ago. Read it, complete surprise to me. Beautiful, beautiful book. You can find this pretty easily. There's a collection with The Nail and the sequel, Another Nail. I've got reviews of this up on the channel. I've read it, Jim's read it, a whole bunch of stuff. So you can listen to us talk about it there. But it's Alan Davis doing the writing and the artwork. And if you don't know who Alan Davis is, he's the guy doing the covers, basically, wraparound cover. But he's a legendary artist who was working in the 80s and 90s, mostly on a lot of like British stuff, maybe some Marvel, and then came over to DC. But this is basically like, what does the world look like without Superman? But not in a way that it doesn't deviate that much from regular continuity. It's like everything happens, it's just that there's no Superman. But everything still happens, so what does that look like when you're in the modern JLA setting? So, and it's really fun. You do get a little bit of Superman at the end. Obviously they do find him. Here's his Kryptonian suit. But I think it's a really, really fun story. Really beautiful to look at. And if you're looking for a good Elseworlds for JLA, I think this is the one to start with. Really, really fun. So now, let's talk about some modern stuff. I don't have a whole bunch of modern stuff in trade, but I did just pick this up recently because I wanted to reread it, and I remember enjoying it when it came out. So, this is Justice League, The Dark Side War by Jeff Johns, Jason Fabok, and some other artists. This is the Essential Edition. This is kind of hard to find. It's not really available online or anything like that. Like, I think you can find the regular trades, but I was looking for this one specifically because it has the Diversity Special, the Dark Side War Special, and has everything in one trade. I think what was originally collected as like 2 different volumes. But this is the all-in-one edition, as it were. I don't know why they're not doing these anymore, and they're not reprinting these essential editions. I have all of them now. They're only like 4 or 5. But they're really cool. And this has got, stuff in the back, variant covers that are full pages. Really, really fun. But this is basically like the culmination of Geoff Johns' Justice League run that he was doing with the New 52. This is the last New 52 Justice League story. Once this happens, you have the DC Rebirth one-shot, and we go on from there into like the current continuity. And Scott Snyder's run is very enjoyable, but I think it kind of loses itself because it dives right into metal and death metal, which I don't really think are really like companions to that. Like the whole, I prefer the main Justice League title in that as compared to these death metal books or whatever. But this one, hard to go wrong with. Jason Fabok as well, doing a lot, if not most, of the art in this particular trade. I don't think he's doing the special, but he literally delivers on everything else. But yeah, this particular complete edition has this special with Francis Manapul, where like there's some weird thing in here where the JLA get new god powers basically, and get like superpowered versions of themselves, even more so, to go up against the new gods. But it's got all this weird stuff with like Lex Luthor's on the team. You got Power Ring, you got Owlman, and Superwoman is here. She's having a baby. And it's all falling out of like stuff that was set up in Trinity War and Forever Evil. So this is like the culmination of a whole lot of storylines coming out of the New 52. You got Grail, who's like, I forget whose daughter. She's Darkseid's daughter. I forget who the mom is. But a whole lot of fun stuff. You got the new Anti-Monitor here, along with the regular Monitor. Really, really crazy stuff. So it never really like blew up, I think, as big as they wanted it to, but it sure is a fun read and an alternate take on what is now like out of continuity stories, right? I think Crisis is now back in continuity, but I still really enjoyed reading this. Still got beautiful, beautiful art. So seek this out if you can find it all on its own as the essential edition, or I guess get the 2 other trades. I know there's a Geoff Johns New 52 Justice League Omnibus coming out. This will be in there most likely, but this was like if they go through issue 50, it will be in here. If they're only going halfway or something, it's probably not. But yeah, Darkseid, or not Darkseid, is that Dark? Yeah, Darkseid's in here versus the Anti-Monitor, and they're like sons or brothers, I can't remember. Yeah, it's kind of nuts. This is also has the moment where Batman sits on the Mobius chair, and it tells him that there are 3 Jokers. It's like the end of that sequence there, and then it devolved into 3 Jokers, and that's not nothing to write home about. But this book is a whole lot of fun, so recommend this one. So there you go. There's some good Justice League stories to read before, during, after the Snyder Cut. I understand the Snyder Cut is long enough that you could probably read one of these books, if not 2 of them, while you're watching it, if you wanted to do it that way. We will have plenty of coverage here on the channel. As soon as I watch it, I will have a review up for you guys to consume. And don't watch any of my stuff until after you've seen the movie. I usually have spoilers in my reviews. I assume you've seen it if you're watching my review. But we got that coming out this week. We got Falcon the Winter Soldier. That will be up as soon as I've watched it. Other things like that. Got Jim with another video this weekend on a Batman animated movie that you haven't seen. Lots of stuff on the channel, 3 to 4 videos a week. That's my promise to you guys, and I'm staying consistent because you guys are staying consistent. So please let me know down below which of these stories you really like. Is there something that you love that I have not read, that I did not recommend? Let me know down below, and we will see you guys next time in the Funny Pages.